It's alright with all y'all if I just let this microwave beep for the next 15 minutes while I'm talking, right? I'm really sorry. I didn't realize exactly how loud that microwave was until I was reviewing the video in playback mode, and I am really sorry because that was a really painful experience. So, you know, shit happens. Life's a bitch. My life's a bitch. But you know nothing about her. Hey. What are we getting into today? We're going to be talking about the 7 physical principles outlining occult practices. If you can, retrace yourself back to the dawn of ancient civilization, and primarily to Egypt. If you can, imagine for yourself what life must have looked like to people when all we had to understand about life were each other and the elements being air, earth, water, fire, and spirit. You're probably not as familiar with spirit as I know you are with the other elements, air, earth, water, and fire. But just imagine what life was like when those were the only 2 things that we could use when we were trying to ponder the meaning of our existence. Understand that during this time, we operated with great intimacy amongst a wide range of people. At a point in world history, as the Christian Crusades and as Roman Catholicism took over the world, there was more of an emphasis put on the familial family unit than there was on the communal effort, or communal unit. That is by design. Christianity attempted and was successful in eradicating everything that the world stood for before Christianity. As a people, we laid a lot underneath the stars to try to make sense of it all. And there was a man named Hermes Trismegistus who was an ancient, brilliant mathematician. This man was able to use with precision his observations amongst all of these people that he was within an intimate setting with, and correlate them up against a trajectory of stars. Thus, the astrological wheel was born. So, for example, he noticed people that were born between March 20th through April 20th acted the same as other people that were born at that specific time period. No matter what year they were born, during that month, the people born into that distinct month acted similar to the other people that were born during that month. And for every other month, that would later go on to constitute the Gregorian calendar, right? So this system is a system that he developed, and it's known as astrology. This is only one of 2 systems that he developed, however. The second system that he developed was a set of physical principles that outline all that witchcraft came to be. These set of principles were put into a book called the Kybalion that was written by 3 individuals that operated underneath the pseudonym the 3 Initiates. They went on to teach all of the things that Hermes Trismegistus was professing, and they put it into a book called the Kybalion, and that would go on to be the Witchcraft Bible, the first Bible, right? Sorry, I was holding the phone for a second, trying to let it charge. I've recorded this at least 15 times, and it has either died or the storage was full or like something a million times. So I want to get it out while I can. Yeah, unnecessary delving you into information that you. Okay, so Jesus Christ. In this video, I'm going to be going over the set of principles that were outlined in that Kybalion. I'm going to start with the first principle, and that is the principle of vibration. If you are a spiritual individual, especially in modern days, you've probably come across the concept of the law of attraction. It gained popularity, and there was a wave of influence that it created in 2011 when Rhonda Byrne wrote a book on it and called it The Secret. The book was called The Secret. This concept that she spells out in her book, The Secret, basically states the law of attraction is, which is like unto itself is drawn, meaning like attracts like, essentially, right? She used this law to spell out success for all of its readers. If its readers were able to apply this law of attraction in their minds, more on that later, more on the law of attraction later. Anyway, they were promised a level of lifestyle significantly better than the one that they had in that current moment. The law of attraction is very similar to the principle of vibration in the Kybalion. So that if that goes to show you what the law of attraction times 7 could possibly look like in the spiritual community, right? Principle of vibration, what is it? It specifically states that matter, energy, mind, and spirit are all the same exact thing. There is no distinction made. The only thing differentiating or distinguishing one of these things from the other is vibration. Nothing rests in life. Everything vibrates, even the hard floor that you're standing on. It's made up of a cellular network that has atoms in it and goes down to the atomic level, and then beyond that, the subatomic level, and even beyond that, right? There's nothing in this world that ever rests, no matter what it feels like to you. Nothing among these 4 planes that I just mentioned, matter, energy, mind, and spirit, ever rests. It is all in motion, and it is all vibrating. The level of vibration that all of these planes of existence put off is characterized as frequency. On the mind level, keeping in mind there's 4, matter, energy, mind, and spirit. On the mind level of vibration, people in their application of applying this principle are able to change their mental states, their mental vibrations, in other words. And this process is called mental transmutation. And the best example I can think of to show this in action to you is you have, and you can look up, if you don't believe me, possibly learned of the Buddhist monks' ability to levitate off the ground, or fly, essentially. This is where the stereotype of witches flying on brooms comes into play. The brooms were later added at a different point in time, which I might go over. However, Buddha people are able to levitate off this ground by manipulating their vibrational state. These Buddhist monks spend their lifetimes trying to accomplish this, so this is not something that is just easily done, necessarily. However, that is the application of the principle of vibration in the mind existence. In the matter existence, here on Earth, well, I'm sorry, all of it's on Earth. In the matter existence, people are able to transmute components of properties into other components, transmute elements into other elements, or in other words, things into other things, and this process is called alchemy. You may recall in your chemistry class learning at a point in history, human beings learned that they had the ability to turn lead into gold. This was profound, right? This was called alchemy, and this is an example of how to manipulate a vibrational state and turn it let me back up. The periodic table of elements is composed of all of the things that make up matter in the world, right? At the lower left-hand corner lies all of the elements that are the densest and most hard, right? So, for instance, copper, iron. Up at the left-hand corner consists of all of the elements that are in a gaseous noble gas state, a noble gas state. It's very light. The only thing, these are all laid out against a vibrational trajectory wherein the elements down here at the bottom and the elements up here are only separated by a matter of vibration. So that's just to give you an idea, not a comprehensive review or anything, but just an idea of the principle of vibration. The next principle is the principle of polarity. This states that everything in life that a human being can encounter comes dualistically. There are two of everything. For instance, love and hate. You've probably heard the saying, love is closer to indifference than hate. And that is because, love is closer to hate than indifference. And that is because love and hate are the same exact thing. Indifference is a completely different category. So basically that kind of outlines the way to picture the principle of polarity. You have love here and you have hate. Everything corresponds in twos. Night, day, love, hate, right? All paradoxes can be reconciled. Everything is and isn't at the same exact time. In other words, so that's the principle of polarity. The principle of rhythm states that within this duality, the dualistic nature of the universe, there is a continuum connecting these dual forces, and there are energy forces that rise and fall or go to and from in a pendulum-like manner from these dualistic perspectives, right? Rhythm compensates. There's a to and from flow, an ebb and flow, right, of energy from one side of love to one side of hate. That's just one example. So that is the principle of rhythm. The next principle is the principle of cause and effect, and this states that there are no coincidences in life. You may have seen the movie The Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher. That kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the principle of cause and effect. Basically, everything that you see is a sequence built upon another sequence. Cause and effect, you can probably recall Newtonian laws possibly to help you understand this, but it's common sense for the most part, right? So I won't spend a lot of time on that principle. That's the principle of cause and effect. The next principle is the principle of gender. In the duality of the world, there exists a feminine and a masculine side of that polarity. This is characterized as a divinely feminine side or a divinely masculine side, and it applies to all properties across all contexts of mind, matter, spirit, and energy. And within this duality, the feminine energy constitutes more of a receptive, abstract type of energy, whereas the male energy gives off a giving, more forceful, phallic type of linear energy, right? So in life, since there are different planes of existence that are all the same, as you can recall, mind, matter, spirit, and energy, in life there is a phenomenon of having a different type of mental gender than there is a physical gender. No rules apply in this scenario. So, for instance, one individual can have a physical representation that is divinely male. It's expressed in the genitalia. But at the same time can have a mental gender of female. Everything is dual, and across all of these planes of existence, there are no rules for gender, just that there are two. But they can swap across physical, or they can swap and they can swap across mental. The idea in nature to be at the most optimization level of this principle, the idea is to have a balance of both the masculine and the feminine in all facets of life, including facets of humanism, right? This is all a very cute way of me trying to spell out that sometimes when the physical expression of gender is masculine, aka there's a penis involved, and the mental gender is, there is no continuity between that, people underneath, I gotta be careful. I have to be really careful with this. I really want to drive the point home and not confuse people at the same time. Basically, when there is I'm like dancing. I'm really sorry. Okay, so people call when there is no continuity between when a human being expresses at the same time a male physical but a female or a female mental, that is called homosexuality. Excuse me. And the same on the reverse. When a female has a female, see, this is why I hate gender pronouns. Excuse me. Sorry. I've recorded this 500 times. I have to keep going. So, homosexuality is defined as having a mental gender that is different from the physical gender. And Christianity came in and demonized individuals that operated within this capacity. And it is too much irony because people that were operating within this capacity as homosexuals were regarded as having the most optimized principle of gender. They had characteristics of both, and they were worshipped. Quite a contrast from the way that they're looked at in today's society, which has a lot of Christian influence. And that is the nicest way that I can put that. So that is one example of a phenomenon that I can give you as a conceptual understanding to help you understand the principle of gender and where it isn't, where in the principle of gender, things aren't assigned on a gender basis across these planes of spirit, matter, mind, and energy. Moving on. The next principle is the principle of correspondence. And there are a lot of movies that try to attempt to reach out to this concept, but you may have seen, I forgot its name, a movie that is, there's a movie that I believe it's called As Above, So Below. That ancient Hermetic axiom, right? As above, so below. The principle of correspondence basically states that if you understand all the phenomenon that exists on either below or above, I'm sorry, if you understand what happens below, you understand what happens above. Above and below. What is that? So, some Christians know it to be heaven and earth, right? And it's actually kind of funny because Satanism is basically recognizing that the below component of life is hell, right? People confuse or people mix up witchcraft with Satanism, and it's kind of the same thing. We understand the same things about the laws and nature and everything else. However, one of us, the Satanists, decide to revel in it, revel in the earthly things that constitute the below, right? They revel in the sex, the obsession, the lust, etc. You get the idea. Principle correspondence, basically, again, just to reiterate, states that understand what happens below, understand what happens above, or if you understand what happens above, understand what happens below, and you can kind of maybe tie this into when I was talking about the physical versus the temporal perspective in life. I'm trying to hurry up, I'm about to run out of battery. So the last principle is the principle of mentalism, and this is actually the first principle in the Kybalion. I brought them to you out of order from the Kybalion because I felt that this was the best way for me to give you this information. So, principle of mentalism states that all is mind. Nothing exists without a preceding thought. For anything to exist, thoughts have to come first. If you understand the law of attraction, then you understand your thoughts and the positivity that you give to them and transmute in your body to them will affect a change, and this is called manifestation. The principle of mentalism basically states that everything that you witness around you is a manifestation from thought. Thus, you are able to create the reality around you. So, witches approach life. If witches are seeking a certain effect from their actions or their involvement, if witches use all of these principles, they apply all of these principles, a combined understanding all of them, not just one for a specific situation or thing that they're trying to accomplish. They have a complete and total understanding of all of these principles. And as they come into a situation, they're able to understand that their thoughts and how they can control them by applying rhythm, correspondence, duality, etc. Their thoughts can affect a manifestation in the physical world around them. And this is ultimately what witchcraft is. An understanding of all of these principles, a mastery over all these principles, and at the same time, an understanding of the astrological wheel and who is subject to the effects of all of these principles. Gotta let that digest for dramatic effect. I don't know how to clarify it any more than what I have, but I'll conclude by saying that in my next video, you are able to enact all of these principles and enact physical manifestation and turn things into your favor, which you're able to conduct witchcraft by understanding astrology. If you understand astrology very effectively, your ability to implement all of these physical principles that I just outlined is a lot more optimized. So, if you are interested in what you can learn on the astrological side of Hermes Trismegistus's profound systems, then I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Hallelujah! I got it done.